Tonight on Cronkite News, the college football video game that pays real football players for the use of their name, image, and likeness.
Our program, they kind of just got our foot in the door and started.
Plus, while the Coyotes may no longer be in Arizona, learn about the legacy they leave behind.
And an Arizona grand jury indicted 18 people accused of trying to change the results of the 2020 presidential election here in Arizona. Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Alana Hambro.
And I'm Ben Yates. Thank you for joining us.
The Suns are back in Phoenix and preparing for their crucial Game 3 matchup against the Timberwolves tomorrow.
That's right, and they're down 0-2 in this playoff series, and they need to find a way to mitigate the play of Minnesota's Anthony Edwards. He scored nearly 50 points against the Suns in the first two games. Now the Suns need playoff veterans Devin Booker and Kevin Durant to step it up, or it could be a sweep for the T-Wolves.
We still got to go out there and execute the game plan that we got in place. And go out there and play hard as we can. We get this one win, possession at a time basketball, So, yeah, all that stuff is cool. But at the end of the day, like, these guys know what it is around this time. Like, they just play all the time. Like, everybody understands it. So I don't think we got to do anything extra.
As the Coyotes move to Salt Lake City, they leave a long-lasting imprint throughout the Valley with their charitable work and youth hockey initiatives.
Cronkite News reporter Trey Matthews reports on the trickle-down effect of losing the NHL franchise.
The now former Arizona Coyotes are in the process of relocating to Salt Lake City, Utah. The loss is already substantial to hockey fans in the desert. However, there are a decent amount of leagues that the Coyotes help fund despite having the second-to-last payroll in the NHL.
Once I got into Alpha, my love for the sport grew, and the community that I found through that, and everyone, most of them being Coyotes fans. There's a lot of players in Alpha who are fans of other teams, but just knowing how much of an impact they've made on them has kind of made me understand the hockey family a lot more.
Robin Leano currently plays for a hockey program called Alpha, a league that focuses on creating a comfortable environment for minorities that want to participate in hockey. The average cost to play hockey is anywhere from $1,500 to $4,500 per season.
You can get donated gear, so if you were unable to afford gear, it's like, all right, here's some gear that you can use. Eventually became, it's like, all right, you'll get credit at the Behind the Mask hockey shop.
The Kachinas are another group that the Coyotes were heavily invested in. They're an organization committed to helping girls compete in hockey. They even funded their home barn, Coyotes Community Ice Center in Mesa.
They kind of funded our program. They kind of just got our foot in the door and started. It was great for the girls. It was a great opportunity. The rink that we moved into wouldn't have happened without them, so it was great.
The Kachinas will continue to operate in Mesa, which speaks to the positive impact the Coyotes had on aspiring hockey players throughout the state.
You look, everywhere you go now, there's there's kids who play hockey, people talk about hockey, so I think that's, on that part, I think that's, we can be proud of what the impact on the community and influence and the hockey culture.
Despite having their own financial struggles, the Coyotes always made sure to make time for their community and fan base. In Phoenix, Trey Matthews, Cronkite News.
Some of the programs like the Kachinas are funded through the NHL's Industry Growth Fund, and without an active franchise in Phoenix, the future of that financial backing is uncertain.
And as college football programs wrap up spring ball, one of the most anticipated returns in sports video game history is coming this summer.
After an 11-year hiatus, EA Sports is releasing College Football 25, and for the first time ever, it will include complete likeness of the players in the game. College football fans aren't the only ones excited about the game's return. EA Sports has offered over 11,000 athletes a chance to be part of the game, offering players $600 in NIL money. College Football 25 insider Matt Brown talks about how the long-awaited return of the game is worth the wait.
To be able to experience the pageantry and what makes college football unique compared to everything else, right? When you are playing a game as Arizona State, EA has spent an enormous amount of time and money to make sure that it's as realistic a depiction of what an ASU football game is like, and also that it's very different from what an Arizona football game or a Utah football game or a UMass or an Ohio State football game.
Even though he started spring football season at ASU, quarterback Jaden Rashada entered the transfer portal and has now officially transferred to Georgia. It's a blow for the Sun Devils offense, but on the defensive side, spring football has given head coach Kenny Dillingham a reason to be optimistic. Tim Russell has more from Tempe.
After a busy offseason, Coach Kenny Dillingham and crew went to work on restructuring their defensive unit. Out of the 21 new players who came to Tempe through the transfer portal, 13 of them are defensive players. While able to retain stout veterans such as Elijah O'Neal and Prince Dorba, the defense has been keen on adding new players through the portal such as Arkansas's Jordan Crook. With the refreshed core at the linebacker unit, there is one feature that combines them together.
Those guys are smart and savvy football players. I mean, that's what I would say about that room is they're all vets and they're all really intelligent football players. They've all had an interception where those guys, those top guys have all made a play just based off of instincts. And I say that position is one of the positions that instincts matter most.
With plenty of potential ready to burst for the Sun Devil linebackers, there is plenty of competition for the room to continue to grow with and against each other.
We're all fast, we're all smart, we all play hard, so it's competition basically. And so when I look to the left and my right, then my brothers, we're also competing at the end of the day, but they're also my brothers and I love them, man. So, we're all just, competing to play.
Progress and competition in the ASU secondary has also improved over the course of this offseason. 2023 team MVP Shamari Simmons is set to return to the team, but newcomers through the portal and previously redshirt players are expected to increase their on-field production.
I think our secondary I think we're fairly talented. I think it's really good competition, which is great. It challenges the guys every day.
With the Sun Devil roster almost set, the coaching staff has built a team that Coach Dillingham said would minimize the use of the spring transfer portal. From Tempe, Arizona, Tim Russell, Cronkite News.
The Sun Devils host the Maroon and Gold Spring Football Scrimmage on Friday, April 26th, and fans can attend the scrimmage for free.
The Arizona Rattlers have been a model franchise for over 30 years in indoor football. And as Cronkite News reporter Cameron Palmer tells us, the Valley's most successful franchise is looking to continue their winning ways this season.
Arizona Rattlers have been a perennial power since its inception in 1992, winning 6 league championships, but for the Rattlers, it's all about the next one.
This championship or bust, for real. Like, there's no other expectation for us. Like, we want to go to the championship and we want to win it. Anything less is an unsuccessful season for us.
Success for Arizona starts with a strong culture, something that has been cultivated over the years.
Well, I mean, all the guys that were here last year, they laid down the foundation, and then the guys that have come back this year, we're trying to push the new guys and set that culture.
That culture starts at the top with head coach Kevin Guy, and this year's group has impressed him in the short time that he's been with them.
In 17 years of being the head coach here, this might be, the most intelligent group that we've brought in. And when we're evaluating players, the number one thing we looked at is communication and trust and intelligence. So they certainly fit that. And I got a lot of high hopes for this year's team. And we're just going to build on it from week to week.
But in order for the team to build onto their weekly growth, there are some steps that need to be taken.
Steps is just eliminating the small things like the turnovers and the mistakes, the penalties, and things like that. Like, if we could eliminate the majority of those things, we'll be good and we'll be successful.
And for the Rattlers, success means one thing: a 7th championship. In Mesa, Cameron Palmer, Cronkite News.
The Rattlers will look to accomplish these championship goals by having a championship mindset for the rest of the season.
High school baseball playoffs have begun, and one Valley school is ready to win it all.
However, after a tragedy struck this team, they weren't sure how they could continue.
One of our teammates, Riley Young, last month he ended up passing away, and it heartbroke all of us. We couldn't even practice, couldn't do anything.
After the break, learn how this team came together to battle through the grief and prepare for the postseason.
Plus, the weekend is right around the corner, and it's going to be a beautiful one across the valley. Your full forecast is next.
What Cronkite News means to me is opportunity.
We do news right at Cronkite News, serving a community ethically, honestly, and truthfully.
And we can provide a necessarily different angle, different voice for those people that really need it.
The students, they have a lot of passion for journalism.
I get to do a lot of stories about the Hispanic community.
And we have access to cover all of these sorts of events and get media coverage of all these different personalities and athletes, and that's just a huge thing.
But it's also a chance for people here to be humanized. Individuals of all walks of life.
Cronkite News will help take the next generation of journalists onto their next careers.
I am old enough to remember Walter Cronkite.
We're putting a lot of pride on his name because we are practicing a lot of the things that he did.
I think he'd be smiling from ear to ear.
I.
We are Cronkite.
The Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communications Phoenix Sports Bureau provides students with hands-on learning experiences and opportunities in sports journalism. From covering local high schools, colleges, and the pros, students get the opportunity to go live from our Facebook shows covering local, collegiate, and pro sports in the Valley. From digital reporting, broadcast, social media, and producing, there's opportunities for all. For more, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Arizona High School's baseball postseason has begun, and the Sandra Day O'Connor Eagles are looking to win their second state championship.
The Eagles' challenges have been far more personal than any past games they've played. Cronkite News reporter Diego Iniguez has the story.
In the 22 years since its founding, Sandra Day O'Connor High School has seen its varsity baseball team become one of the best teams in the state, making it to 5 state Final Four appearances and winning the championship in 2018. The Eagles are looking to reach the top again this year.
I feel like we're a little more prepared this year as a team, knowing what to expect to playoffs, and I think we're all just ready because we work harder than everybody, and I feel like we deserve this state championship this year.
But the Eagles' quest for glory hasn't been easy. Head coach Jeff Baumgartner, who's been with the program since the beginning, has helped his players navigate their struggles both together and personally.
There's been some ups and downs. I think the expectation is you have a good year and then you bring most of your guys back and you feel pretty confident that it's going to be easier, but it's not. It's high school baseball. It's 16 to 18-year-olds. So there's going to be some ups and downs. There's going to be some roller coaster rides.
In their previous 3 seasons, the Eagles have made 2 state Final Four appearances, with them looking to make another one this year. Despite their success, their losses on and more critically off the field have impacted them.
One of our teammates, Riley Young, last month he ended up passing away, and it heartbroke all of us. We couldn't even practice, couldn't do anything.
On February 25th, at the age of just 16, Riley Young died in a car accident. Baumgartner told me about how the late sophomore's death impacted O'Connor baseball.
He was our shortstop. I mean, he was going to be a guy that was going to come in and play shortstop for us. Last week, Jake Sinkel was hurt, and that would have been his time to come in and fill that void and fill that spot, but obviously it didn't happen. So it's been tough. It's really, we've kind of been through this before, and it's really just kind of emotionally exhausting for the players.
Shortstop Jake Sinko was one teammate Riley worked closely with every practice.
It's tragic, honestly. He was a shortstop too, so me and him got to know each other. We practiced together every day, so just like seeing him, how hard he worked, makes me want to just push myself every day and get out there and do it for him. We play for something now.
While only over 2 months removed from their teammate's tragic death, the bond between this group of ball players has become stronger than most. Now, with the playoffs just 2 days away, Riley's presence will still be with them as their season continues. In Phoenix, Diego Iniguez, Cronkite News.
With a top 8 ranking in the state, Sandra Day O'Connor will play their first playoff game this Saturday at 11 a.m.
And it might just be the perfect time for a baseball game.
Yeah, that's right. We might be getting a bit of a break from those scorching temperatures. Our Anthony Remedios is in the Weather Center to tell us more. What's up, Anthony?
What's up, Ben? Got a special forecast coming up for you right now, but not without first taking a look at those temperatures outside right now. Right around 80 degrees, you got that summer breeze coming through, and just look at those gorgeous temperatures that you'll see over the course of the next couple of hours. But don't worry, we are going to see some rain tomorrow, and particularly up north by early afternoon. By Saturday morning, we do see that potential for ice, so please be careful out there on the roads. And then throughout the day Saturday, that storm will gradually disappear. And now, those highs, don't let that distract you from the fact that it's going to be a beautiful day in the afternoon. Low 80s in the Valley, 82 in Phoenix and Tucson, 62 in Sedona, and even the low to mid 50s as you go farther north. But last but not least, as with tradition here at Cronkite News, we have to take a look at our full 8-day forecast. We get a break from those hot temperatures this weekend, but by next week, lo and behold, those mid-90s temperatures return as we get ready for summer here in the Valley. That's it for today from the Cronkite Weather Center. I'm Anthony Ramirez, and now we send it to Jesse to give us a preview of what's next.
I'm Jesse Broaders. Coming up next, who doesn't love a handwritten letter?
What we try to do is we make sending handwritten notes as easy or easier than sending an email.
Coming up, how one local company is using robots to write handwritten letters.
What Cronkite News means to me is opportunity.
We do news right at Cronkite News, serving a community ethically, honestly, and truthfully.
And we can provide a necessarily different angle, different voice for those people that really need it.
The students, they have a lot of passion for journalism.
I get to do a lot of stories about the Hispanic community.
And we have access to cover all of these sorts of events and get media coverage of all these different personalities and athletes, and that's just a huge thing.
But it's also a chance for people here to be humanized, individuals of all walks of life.
Cronkite News will help take the next generation of journalists onto their next careers.
I am old enough to remember Walter Cronkite.
We're putting a lot of pride on his name because we are practicing a lot of the things that he did.
I think he'd be smiling from ear to ear.
I.
We are Cronkite.
At Cronkite News, learn to work behind the camera for studio production. Our students spend time learning the ins and outs of all that it takes to run a newscast. From setting up the studio to building exciting graphics, studio production provides a job for everyone. Whether it be running audio, technical directing, or directing the newscast, students can experience the action behind the scenes. Join our team today.
Welcome back. I'm Jesse Broaders with your news headlines from across Arizona. The state grand jury has returned indictments against 18 people accused of trying to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. Cronkite News reporter Maria Garcia has been following the case. She joins us now in the newsroom.
Among the 18 charged were 11 Arizona Republicans and 7 of former President Trump's top aides, including former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani. The charges stem from an Arizona Republican electors meeting in Phoenix to sign a document that falsely claimed Trump was the winner of Arizona.
The defendants and other unindicted co-conspirators raised false claims of widespread voter fraud in Arizona to pressure elections officials to change the outcome of a transparent, free, and fair democratic election.
According to General Mays, none of the legal challenges regarding the 2020 election were successful.
These defendants deceived the citizens of Arizona by falsely claiming that those votes were contingent only on a legal challenge that would change the outcome of the election.
Republicans, in a statement related to the indictment, say they represent a blatant and unprecedented abuse of prosecutorial power aimed solely at distracting the public from the critical policy debates our country should be focusing on as we approach the 2024 election. Paul Bentz, Senior Vice President of High Ground Public Affairs, mentions how 2020 was an unknown frontier of the allegations for the election, but they need to focus on what matters.
Changing hearts and minds of voters and reaching out to the voters and getting them to vote.
Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays says that she was elected to uphold the law of this state, and if the act succeeded, it would have deprived Arizona's voters the right to have their votes counted. In the newsroom, Maria Garcia, Cronkite News.
A new medical center is coming to the Navajo Nation with hopes to expand healthcare access. Cronkite News reporter Kevin Jonah Paggio has a preview of the center.
We are sort of equidistant from Albuquerque and from Flagstaff, right? We're about 2.5 hours from Albuquerque, 2.5 hours from Flagstaff. If you have someone who is sick enough to require advanced care, now you're talking about a 2.5 hour drive to the nearest tertiary center that can care for that patient.
It's very exciting to see us transferring from a very dated, and some of the buildings are historical, and some of the buildings are built like in the 1930s and all the way from the 1920s. And we're moving into a state-of-the-art healthcare facility. So there's going to be this transition of and I explained it as like a time warp where we're going from one place to another, where everything is going to be literally electronic. So it'll be very different, very, very different for us. I think staffing is probably our #1 challenge.
The rural situation is not for everyone, right? So you have to find that fit of the provider who wants to come to your facility and who wants to essentially make a difference. I think it takes a certain subset of provider to actually want to do the things that we have to do here and to do it well. And all the activities that we're doing in respect to the new services as well is really addressing that 10 to 15% of patients that come in with issues that we cannot immediately handle here and will need help if we didn't have the services here.
We want to be the best healthcare facility on Indian country, and how do we get there? Through quality, through patient experience, and expanding our services.
In California, a new bill could support abortion access for Arizonans. California Governor Gavin Newsom announced a plan to allow Arizona doctors to provide abortions for their patients across state lines. It's all to bypass Arizona's recent ban on nearly all abortions and lasts only through the end of November. We all know the feeling of opening the mailbox to find a handwritten card. Well, what if that card is still inked in pen but not physically written by a person? Cronkite News reporter Leslie Chapman has more on how one company has found another use for AI.
In an age dominated by emails and text messages, one form of communication may be losing its popularity: letter writing.
Letter writing is sort of maintaining an art of something that that has a legacy of connecting people during some of the hardest and best times.
Colleen Schwab, founder of the Random Letter Project, says there is still value in the slowness of letter writing, but many people feel they don't have the time anymore. That's where handwritten comes in.
What we try to do is we make sending handwritten notes as easy or easier than sending an email.
Handwritten is a company based in Tempe, Arizona, that uses 175 robots to write what appear to be handwritten cards.
I think handwritten notes really stand out, and not only are they open and read, but they're kept and remembered.
The process is simple. Using Handwritten's website, you can choose a card and write your message and let the robots put pen to paper.
We also have 35 handwriting styles for you to choose from. In addition to, if you want us to replicate your handwriting, you can do that.
Wax says his company is seeing double-digit growth. Commercial entities really like being able to connect through what he calls old-fashioned handwritten outreach.
The ability that this takes handwritten notes off their plate, especially if you're a nonprofit and you know how important sending handwritten notes are, but you just simply don't have the time or resources.
And while Schwab is intrigued by how AI is innovating nearly every industry, she doesn't see it replacing the unique intricacies of personal penmanship.
There's always going to be a place and value in having an actual, personally handwritten note.
So for those of you self-conscious of your handwriting but still want to send a personal Mother's Day and graduation card, you may want to consider having a robot write your card for you. In Tempe, Leslie Chapman, Cronkite News.
AI robot handwriting also brings business to the post office. Every card receives a forever stamp, which Wax says they purchase by the roll. That's all for our news headlines. We'll be right back after a quick break.
What Cronkite News means to me is opportunity.
We do news right at Cronkite News, serving a community ethically, honestly, and truthfully.
And we can provide a necessarily different angle, different voice for those people that really need it.
The students, they have a lot of passion for journalism.
I get to do a lot of stories about the Hispanic community.
And we have access to cover all of these sorts of events and get media coverage of all these different personalities and athletes, and that's just a huge thing.
But it's also a chance for people here to be humanized, individuals of all walks of life.
Cronkite News will help take the next generation of journalists onto their next careers.
I am old enough to remember Walter Cronkite.
We're putting a lot of pride on his name because we are practicing a lot of the things that he did.
I think he'd be smiling from ear to ear.
I
We are Cronkite.
The Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communications Phoenix Sports Bureau provides students with hands-on learning experiences and opportunities in sports journalism. From covering local high schools, colleges, and the pros, students get the opportunity to go live from our Facebook shows covering local, collegiate, and pro sports in the Valley. From digital reporting, broadcast, social media, and producing, there's opportunities for all. For more, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
If you plan on hitting up Venice, Italy this summer, it might cost you more than you think.
The city of Venice plans to start charging tourists visiting the city. Venice is the first city in the world to charge tourists €5 just to visit. That's a little over $5. The city's mayor said it isn't a cash grab, but it's a way to regulate the tourist flow.
That's it for Cronkite News. Thanks for joining us.
And to see top Arizona stories anytime, log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.